He kissed his children goodbye, locked the door behind him, and stepped into the morning light. By nightfall, he was gone. Not missing, not hiding. Gone in a way that made no sense, even to the FBI. There was no crash, no ransom call, no frantic message. Just a man who walked out of his house one ordinary morning and never returned. His life, at first glance, seemed intact. Bills were paid, clothes folded, children safe. Everything appeared normal, almost deliberately untouched. At first, people thought it was a mistake. In today's world, people don't just disappear. Phones, social media, bank accounts, traffic cameras, all the little traces we leave behind always tell someone where we are. But in his case, there was nothing. That absence, complete and total, was the first clue that something was very wrong. The story took place in the mid-2010s in a quiet suburban town. Streets curved predictably, lawns were trimmed perfectly, sprinklers ran on schedule, and children laughed in the mornings. People knew each other's names and trusted one another. Emergencies were rare. Chaos almost never happened. Then, one ordinary house changed all of that. The house was plain, beige siding, trimmed hedges, 2 cars in the driveway. Inside, everything looked normal. The outward calm hid a secret that no one could guess. The man was in his early 40s. Married for more than a decade, he had 2 children under 10. He worked in finance, a job that required long hours and careful attention. On the surface, he was the perfect image of stability. Medium height, neutral clothes, a voice that didn't stand out. He was forgettable, and that forgettability was his camouflage. His wife said he was calm, reliable, and thoughtful, sometimes distant, but always present when it mattered. Bills were on time, school events attended, family routines followed without complaint. Friends trusted him, co-workers respected him, neighbors barely noticed him. In hindsight, that invisibility may have been his greatest advantage. There were no arguments, no enemies, no criminal record, no signs of instability. Everything about him said stability, normality, and trustworthiness. Almost as if every detail had been carefully planned for years, a life built to allow him to disappear one day. The first cracks were small, hardly noticeable at first, but enough for someone paying attention. Business trips started to increase, first a few months apart, then monthly, then twice in a month. Each trip had an explanation: conferences, client meetings, emergency consultations. In finance, sudden travel seemed normal. He sent photos from airports, texted from hotels, answered calls at odd hours. Everything seemed ordinary. Then, small inconsistencies appeared. Receipts did not match claimed dates. Emails referenced meetings that never existed. Packages arrived unopened, stacked neatly in the house. Some mail piled up, sealed and untouched, as if waiting for a moment that would never come. His wife noticed. She asked questions. He answered calmly, giving long stories with unnecessary details. Everything sounded normal, but something felt off. Then came the morning that changed everything. He told his wife he was leaving for a short work trip, 3 days. He packed lightly, only a backpack. He kissed his children, hugged his wife, locked the door, and drove away. By mid-afternoon, he had not arrived at his destination. By the second day, worry grew. By the third, panic set in. His employer confirmed the impossible. No trip was scheduled, no clients were expecting him, no conference existed. His absence could not be explained. A missing person report was filed, and police went to the house to investigate. Inside, everything was untouched. Wallet in the drawer, passport on the shelf, laptop powered off on the desk, clothes folded neatly. Cameras showed him leaving calmly, without hurry. After that, nothing. His phone stopped transmitting less than an hour after he left. It was as if the world had swallowed him. Then came the sightings, fleeting, unreliable, but persistent. A cashier said he saw a man who looked exactly like him in a nearby town. By the time police arrived, he was gone. Hours later, another sighting at a gas station.
Witnesses were uncertain, memories fuzzy, but the pattern was clear. Someone was moving, but no one could confirm where or why. Weeks later, the FBI joined the investigation. Agents looked through finances and digital records. They found hidden emails, burner phones, and encrypted folders. These contained schedules, not his own, but those of other people. Daily routines, times, places, movements, all carefully mapped. Nothing illegal, nothing dangerous, just obsessive detail. Investigators were uneasy. Theories were considered. Voluntary disappearance, but why leave money, identity, and children? Foul play? Possible, but no struggle or motive. Double life? Maybe he was living as someone else. Yet no partner, location, ideology, or explanation was ever found. Every theory collapsed under scrutiny, leaving only questions. Months later, his wife found a thin notebook hidden behind storage boxes. Handwritten notes mapped the schedules of neighbors, children, police, and lights. No diary entries, no feelings, just cold observation. The last line read, "Leave before they notice." Who they were is still unknown. Years passed. No body, no proof of life, no answers. Some believe he escaped. Others think he may never have existed as he appeared. Perhaps his life was entirely constructed, designed to vanish without a trace. And still the question lingers. If someone can build an entire life, deceive everyone, and disappear perfectly, how many others are out there? How many live ordinary lives, silently waiting for the moment to vanish into the unseen world? Investigators still think about the case, replaying every detail, every missed signal. His methods were precise, his audacity unsettling, showing a mind that understood observation, human assumptions, and trust. He was ordinary, patient, meticulous, the perfect combination to vanish without a trace. In a world crawling with cameras, tracking devices, and constant digital footprints, the notion that someone could erase themselves entirely is almost unimaginable. Yet he did it. He left no clues, no patterns, no messages, just an absence that screamed louder than words. Life around him moved on. The neighborhood resumed its quiet rhythm. Lawns neatly trimmed, cars parked in driveways, sprinklers humming in the evening sun. Children played, neighbors waved, routines continued as if nothing had happened. But beneath the surface, unease lingered. The memory of him, a man who was everywhere and nowhere, ordinary yet impossible, lingered in the minds of those who knew him. A ghost hidden in plain sight, a reminder that appearances can deceive, and that sometimes the most ordinary life can conceal the most extraordinary vanishing act.
His children grew up without him. Birthdays came and went with quiet dinners, small gifts, and missing laughter where his voice should have been. Holidays were softer, emptier, shaped by the absence of someone who had once been central, who had kissed them goodbye one ordinary morning and never returned. His wife moved through the endless cycle of grief, confusion that clawed at her mind, disbelief that refused to bend to reality, anger that burned at the unfairness of it all, and finally a cautious acceptance that life must continue even when a part of it had disappeared entirely. Yet every ordinary day, every small routine reminded her of him. His absence was present, a shadow cast over the mundane. Law enforcement never closed the case. Files remained open, folders grew thicker, leads surfaced, then dissolved. There were unverified sightings, faint digital traces, reports of a man resembling him. Each possibility raised hope, only to vanish under closer scrutiny. Every investigation circled back to the same conclusion. This was no mistake, no accident. He had constructed a life so careful, so meticulous, that it left no trace, no vulnerability. A life lived and erased with impossible precision. A man gone entirely, leaving nothing but questions and the weight of disbelief. This story is no longer just about disappearance. It is about invisibility, human assumptions, and fragile trust. It warns us that appearances can deceive. Someone can hide in plain sight, mask their intentions behind normality, and leave no trace. Sometimes the qualities that make a person trusted and ordinary can help them disappear completely. The notebook remains, a silent proof of careful observation and planning. Leave before they notice. The phrase haunts, inviting fear and curiosity. It raises the unsettling thought that others may be doing the same, living believable lives until the moment they vanish. The town eventually forgot the initial panic. New families moved in, life went on. Yet for those who remembered, one question remains. How could someone vanish so completely and leave the world without answers? The man who kissed his children goodbye, locked the door, and stepped into the morning light was gone. Gone in a way that made no sense. Gone in a way no one could ever explain.
The truth didn't end the crime. It only vanished into silence. Subscribe now because the next story is even darker.